Welcome to the Great British Pinball Podcast, and here are your hosts Scott Rundell and Neil McRae.
Welcome everybody. Neil McRae here. What a month it has been, and it isn't even over yet. I'm Neil McRae. This is the Great British Pinball Podcast. I'm joined, as ever, by my super partner in crime,
Scott Rundle. How you doing? Yes, it's been definitely an interesting event for you, I'd say, at the recent expo. A lot of releases, a lot of titles to discuss. It's definitely going to be an interesting show.
Yeah, I mean, I think we mentioned this in the last podcast. I kind of thought after TPF, the pinball year was done.
Yeah.
And, lo and behold, it's not. I mean, obviously the odd release from Stern. But if you'd said to me JGP would launch a game at Expo back at TPF when they just launched Godfather, I would have laughed at you, given their typical pace for, this. I think this will be the first time they've done 2 pins in 1 year,
True.
which is a big change for them, and shows that they're kind of
gearing up, right?
Look, we're going to cover a little bit about what you've been up to, and whilst I've been on the US party train. I want to cover off a little bit about UK Open, how it went, a little bit about New York City Pinball Champs. I was there, it was a great gig. A little bit about Expo Tournament, and then we'll spend the bulk of the chat on Expo, and it'll be kind of like your job, Scott, to wring information out of me,
sure.
and hopefully
play interrogator, no problem.
Couple of giggles. I thought I would start before we get into that. I want to start with an amusing chuckle that occurred whilst I was in the US. So yes, I set up another account on Pinball Info. I am guilty as charged.
Busted.
Lock me up and throw away the key.
I think they did, didn't they? This time around, they have. They thrown away the key.
So yeah, look, and look, I'm not trying to give Paul and the moderation team any aggro there. The reason I set it up, I've been on it for about, almost like a week after I got banned, and actually I didn't try and hide it. So if you look my email for that account, it's got neil-ps3@domino.org. It's not like I wasn't trying to be underhand. I wasn't trying to hide behind a VPN either. Basically, when I was in the US using my phone, which was roaming, it came out as UK. When I used Wi-Fi, it came out as US. So, and the thing changes depending on when you last post, and I was mostly posting from my phone. So, look, the reason I was setting a account up was purely because I wanted to buy games off the forum. And then one of the evenings, I'd had a few beers, and someone who will remain nameless was posting nonsense, and I couldn't resist but to try and clear up the facts.
Neil couldn't help being Neil, guys. I'm sure you can understand that.
Anyway, Luke, there's a lot of great stuff in the forum, and you'll miss me because I've seen the many threads demanding that I be reinstated. For those of you that have posted that, I appreciate it. But they've got a set of rules. If they don't follow the rules for me, they don't have to follow the rules for anyone. And there's been a few clowns on there that should have got banned. So Paul's right to ban me because I've broken the rules. Well, I'd argue I've only broken them twice, but because of the first incident.
Should we have a hearing? Maybe we could have a court hearing on it.
What's that TV show in the US? The Judge Judy.
Judge Judy. You want Judge Judy to be the adjudicator? Yeah. No problem.
Yeah, but look, it's fine. It kind of, this forum's lost as far as I'm concerned. But I know so much about what's coming out in the future. It's crazy. And
this time round, you're going to do your better judgment though, and not to leak it, right?
Well, at least. So I was told about something that because I was the person who told me, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not even going to name who told me. But there's a monster game coming out next year. This isn't one that you've heard of. But
and for clarification, he hasn't even told me. So yeah, he's doing well so far.
I haven't told anybody because Luke, I might if I find out something in a kind of public way, like Elton John. I was in a meeting, someone said, "Oh yeah, we've licensed that for a pinball machine. I was like, oh, really? It happened twice. It happened with Bond, and it happened with Elton John, because I'll be in a meeting and someone say, oh, Neil's into pinball, and then they just volunteered this information. So actually, with Elton John, they didn't tell me it was JGP, but who else would it be, frankly? So
Sure.
that was 2 years ago. And actually, it's kind of funny because, and I might as well clear this one up as well whilst I'm here. Steve came over. Steve Ritchie and I are great friends. We went out to dinner. He loves my wife. And he was saying, "Where's Mandy?" And he's a glorious guy. I love all of his games. I've got loads of them.
Good.
I've got Led Zepp. I've got Star Trek. I had Spider-Man. And he came over and said, "Yo!" He kind of gave me a Steve Ritchie hard time. It wasn't like some people kind of have made it out to be like he came and beat me up with a stick and left me dead.
The story was that, from what I got told, that he was grabbing you by the throat and saying, "Finish him."
No, not quite. I mean, look, they were frustrated that it leaked out, especially so early, right? Look, like I say, if you want me to not find out what your pinball machine is, tell me yourself. So I also know a lot about the next American pinball games, because they told me I'm not going to tell a single person. So, and I've worked with some of the most secretive companies in the world. Apple, for example. I know what their roadmap is for some time, and it's professional courtesy. But if something leaks in the open air, and we think it's true, then I'm like everyone else.
It depends on, as you say, how that information's being presented, I think. And
exactly. Look, if it's like anything else, Scott. If you were to say, "Hey, Neil," in confidence, I would never mention it to a soul, right? It's no different. And but I was, in some ways for Elton John, I was kind of glad to find out, because I was excited about Steve's next game. But then, Elton John, I think, we'll talk about it in a bit, but
definitely need to.
It's kind of, there's a lot of questions about it, but we'll speak later. So look, Scott, let's talk about you for a bit. What's been going on in your world?
Oh, finally, obviously making progress on Your Fear of Magic, which is great.
It's looking amazing, man. It's
getting there. It really is. Like, it's in the cabinet now. Finished off the back box. I did do a silkscreen back box for you. It was my first attempt. That is bloody hard, silk screening. Anybody does it.
I was wondering if you'd taken the back box to Anne, because I know he's got.
No, he came to me. So there's an interesting story behind that. So basically, I'd known for a while that somebody was selling a Stranger Things LE and an Alien LV, and they were basically in a position where, just like most people, I suppose, at the moment, they were willing to let it go for a lot less than they had it advertised for. And we're talking a lot less. Like your mouth would drop to the floor if you knew what he got that Stranger Things for. It was like literally below pro prices, put it that way, of what you would normally pay. So that was low.
If everyone else is selling the Stranger Things LE below pro prices, you know where I am.
Yeah. So to me, it was like, I knew about the deal. I wanted it. My wife was like, "For God's sake, just buy it yourself." And I was like, I just couldn't thump up the money for both, because it was, the deal was you had to get both.
Right.
And I just thought, right, well,
for me, man, I would have helped out.
Yeah, I think but in all fairness, look, Neil, you've already got one.
Can you hear Avengers?
I can hear something, yeah.
Avengers just started playing. Hold on, let me kill
Avengers has decided to play.
It's got the Attract music on.
So basically, I knew that, how can I put it? Anne is a good friend of mine, and I felt like, he is a good guy, and I thought, there's somebody that I know would definitely appreciate having those games. So I've contacted him. He's not looking for them, but when he knew about the price, he was like, "Tell him I want it now." So then we had to drive off to go get it. I had to spend a day there, because the guy wanted to work through me, because I'd already bought a game through him previously. So I had to kind of mediate. And I said, like, "Look, do you know what? You're doing me a massive solid getting me these two games. How about I bring my silkscreen stuff down and we do Neil's back box?" So I was like, all right, mate, why not?
That's good.
So I thought,
thanks,
yeah,
guys.
It was. Yeah. So I thought, that's great. That sorts out, because long story short, with the back box, I had it originally and I thought I wasn't too happy with the back of it. I said to you before, I don't have the tools to get a silkscreen done.
Yeah,
It's
no,
for
it's fine.
anyone's context. It's quite difficult to do the silkscreen process. One, the kit isn't really readily available in this country. Two, the ink, because you don't use paint, you use ink. To get it in that specific color, you can only get it in the US. And you know as well as I do, trying to transport toxic
Oh man,
materials from
it's a
one
freaking
country to
nightmare.
another,
Yeah.
they don't like it. So to get the paint is very hard. So of course he brought all that along, and it just made it a lot easier. And it was an experience in doing it anyway. It's like, who can say they've done a silkscreen? It's very few people. So I felt like that was, he's done
Well,
me a
that's
solid by
why
doing that. So.
I was thinking like, can I print out like a transfer or something and stick it on?
Yeah, I've
But
seen some people do like decals where they take the
yeah,
vinyl decal and they slap it on the back, but it
but
shows
it's
up. It
never
just,
yeah, and then the minute you move the game or you do something, it falls apart. But look,
yeah.
and Scott, thanks for doing that. I really appreciate it. I mean,
No problem.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I was showing pictures of the game with my wife last night. She's like, "What? What's going on with it?" So I was showing her all the pictures, and
Yeah.
she was thoroughly impressed. So
Well, I see the powder coat's coming out right. I say I'm pretty damn close to finishing it off now. I think I'm
yeah,
fairly confident I might be able to finish it for this weekend. In all
yeah. No, I
honesty,
mean, it's
so.
just a shame about the decals, but shit happens, man. But
Yeah, I mean, you saw it yourself, right? I don't know if you saw on the forum. I put the decals
yeah,
up that were defective, and surprise, surprise, no one really has bought them. I didn't.
no,
The thing is, if you're going to buy decals, and I get it, right? If they've got a mark on them, why would you want to replace them?
yeah,
Do you know what I
exactly.
mean? It's like, so it's a hard sell. I think, like, at the end of the day, I said to Zianek, who's the guy who's made the set for us, and he goes, put that up. If it sells, just you can give me the money back for that and see if somebody wants the set. And I said, I'll try, but I don't think anyone's going to buy it. He's got to realize, I think, like anyone else, it's like if you're going to go through that effort of getting decals done, they've got to be 100%.
Yeah,
So
you can't think about it. It's the same. My X-Men was actually in the garage from the UK Open.
yeah,
I put this decal on the score thing. It's a picture of Magneto, and on the website it looked really cool, and so I ordered it, and it arrived, and it looked really washed out, and I was
yeah,
like, nah, I'm not putting that on. So I pinged the guys. I forget the name of them. They're really good guys, and they're like, "Oh, sorry," but they apologized. Said no, it shouldn't be washed out. So they sent me another one.
sure.
But just stuff like that. It's you're spending money on it. It's not. You spend money that you kind of don't have to, right? Because
Yeah.
it doesn't. I mean,
Well,
you could just
I've
do this
spoken to many
playfield
people in
and
this
boom.
industry, right? And they just go, why are you bothering to replace the decals for? You don't even see them because the game's, most of the time
Exactly.
it's in a lineup like yours is in the background there, and you can't see the side art. But
Exactly.
you know as well as I do, if it doesn't look good, it's in your
No,
head. You're like,
absolutely.
it's a missing piece.
Especially that game, my wife bought it for me, and
Yeah.
it's gonna be I'll probably be buried in it if I last that long and I'm not set on fire by the Northern Pinball Info gang. But look, it's looking amazing. I can't wait to see it. Once we've got it in, we'll do a bit of a video and stream on it and
Yeah, sure.
show the world. But as I say, I'm excited. Any other exciting any new toys? Any new mods? Any new?
Just like you, really. Just still waiting for Cactus Canyon. I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully that's going to be sometime soon.
Well, I actually spoke to Ryan, and as far as he knows, they're all done and on the way. So,
okay. Good.
but Ryan's a good guy, but he's never on the pulse of the latest info. So take that with a
Right.
pinch of salt.
Fair enough.
But one thing I did hear from Josh actually related to this is they've built the first Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
And so it's the first, what they call the golden one, which is the one they use to train the production line.
Template in a way, then.
Yeah, and then once it's done and everything works, they then press the button on the big parts order. So, it's probably a little bit behind. I think partly because Cactus fell behind because of some supply chain issues.
There was issues with the topper, right? I think.
Yeah, they've had more than one issue. I think there was also issues with the apron
Oh yeah.
wasn't of the right quality, so they had but they had a Cactus Canyon LE there. It just looks phenomenal. Plays really nicely. Fun game. Josh also said, because I moaned about it on Pinside, Josh was like, Neil, stop moaning, the code's coming. So I don't know when, but Josh is really, I sense he's a really good friend of Lyman's. I sense that he feels he's got a civic duty to kind of get that out as part of with Lyman and what happened to him. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about getting that game. I'm excited about getting Venom as well, because I've played a bit more of it, and actually I played it in a couple of tournaments, and it was a lot of fun. So
I'm surprised by that, because I say, like, most people, I've been trying to gather as much info as I can actually on the latest game releases at Expo, and a lot of the consensus I heard, at least, was Venom was the least desirable of the games available from the new releases. So it's interesting to see what you say about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, by a mile, Elton John was the best game there.
Yeah.
I mean, some people are saying, it's like a Stern, right? And
it's funny how that's always the mark of quality for people, isn't it? It's like,
yeah, I mean,
does it shoot like a Stern? Does it play like a Stern? Is normally the requirement.
To say, right? The old jelly flippers of old from JGP are no more.
So that's Steve Ritchie. I remember him saying one of his mandates when he joined was, I have to change those flippers. So
yeah, well, his games
obviously stuck.
Yeah, his games with flow. You don't want a flow where you're kind of where's the ball, because So
how do you think they've achieved that then? Do you think they've just changed the mechs? Did they show you it?
No, they've turned the power up.
Okay.
Look, the mechs that they're using, there's look, a coil's a coil, right?
That's what I'm thinking. I'm just trying to understand what makes it feel snappy.
There's one variable that makes it snappy. One, the switches, which are standard. I mean, the JGP switches are no different to anyone else's.
Sure.
The second is the system that you're using, but typically the flippers are ran. Oh crikey, my Bond just updated. That's bizarre.
New code update.
Rebooting right now. It just makes this weird noise when it auto updates.
It did sound like a duck quacking. I'm not going to lie.
That's the noise. I've had it done. I don't turn the games on usually when I'm in here unless I'm playing. But as you can see, it's now
that is code updating. Yeah, I can see that.
So look, they've turned the power up, and the reason they didn't want to turn the power up before is because you need to go through it for another certification, because you've kind of got 50 volts underneath, and
sure.
I think when you go above 40 volts, you have to go through an extra special. There's two certifications. There's a safety one, but there's also an electromagnetic interference one, and that one is very difficult, can be very challenging to pass, and that's why you'll see Stern games with loads of these. What they called? It's gone out of my head, but they take noise out of the cables, or they stop noise from getting into cables. These kind of things that they clamp onto a cable. You'll see them in a lot of IT stuff. But look, they I mean, let's get into Elton John. We've kind of drifted into it. But like I say, when I heard that it was Elton John, I was like, I first of all didn't believe it, because I'm thinking, really. But then you look at, I mean, it's also, I was looking at David Bowie's back catalogue because of Labyrinth as well.
Sure.
And, these guys have got so many songs that, barely, some of them you haven't, you only hear them every now and again, but then you remember them, and Elton John, they've used, in the game, they've used the more upbeat tempo ones.
So higher BPM music, basically.
Yeah, so stuff you can kind of move to.
That's what it needs, right? I was worried that, because he's got a lot of slow paced music, so.
Yeah, I mean, and he's. I mean, there's some things in it. I mean, I actually haven't actually looked. I think they published the song list. I haven't actually seen it, but of the, I played it maybe 8 times, 9 times.
You got that many goes on it? Because I saw pictures and I was like, there's substantial cues.
Yeah, I kept going back, and actually, we went. So I went first thing and last thing at night, where it was a bit quieter, because the queues during the day were like Pulp Fiction length. I mean, this, TPF, the queues were for Pulp Fiction, At Expo, the queues were for Elton John by a mile. Labyrinth, there was a bit of a queue, but it was nowhere near as deep as Elton John.
Interesting. Okay.
And they had, I think there was 3 Elton
How many Elton
John.
Johns were there?
3. There was a
Is that it? God, that's a small number.
There was a CE and there was 2 platinum. They stopped calling them LE, which I think is a good idea considering they're not limited.
Yeah, I'm glad actually, because like as you say, you want an industry standard really, and the word limited seems to have lost its meaning recently.
More than 500 means it's no longer limited in my mind. So
agreed.
But yeah, they and you know they had like the platinum comes with like this kind of cardboard topper, which is okay. It's not. I think it's Lentica.
I did notice it's more like a acrylic topper, right, with lights on it, sort of thing. Rather than. But then, what was your view on that C one? Because it's more like TV screens, and I just thought,
I mean, look, it's fine, but I don't see the point of on a topper. I want something that's kind of, you know, I would like to have seen a crocodile dancing up there or something.
Yeah. Do you know what I like? I like toppers that interact with the game.
Yeah.
Which is why I was drawn to the Cactus Canyon one, right?
Yeah.
Do a certain thing, and then he's going to shoot his gun and stuff like that. And I just think that's what you want to do. I know we touched on stuff like, you know, you said other stuff I'm doing like it's not ready yet, but I've nearly finished a Roadshow topper, and part of the effort was trying to make it integrate with the game logic. You just want to have it integrate.
Yeah, actually, I'll maybe come back to toppers if we've got time later on.
Of course.
But look, the game. I mean, the other big thing about the game, and for me, this is huge. Look, Steve Ritchie can put out a great layout. He's done it time after time after time after time, right?
What is it? A free flipper game?
3 flipper game. I mean, it's very Star Trek Spider-Man like, right?
Warp ramp is what I'm thinking of. Has it got that kind of warp ramp feel to it?
I think yeah, there definitely is. Although I would say it's actually a bit harder because of the placement of the upper flipper is way different. If you're able to get a Spider-Man and Star Trek layout and the Elton John layout, now you put them side by side and you kind of like, yeah, they're similar. If you actually overlay them, there's massive differences. Where the flipper is, where some of the lanes are. There's many more.
Can you walk me through that ramp at the top? I didn't understand. I tried to visualize it and look at it, and it was hard to see from the gameplay because most people are doing this with the camera, and you're like, and it's either a top-down view or someone doing some stupid B-roll at such a speed. I can't really figure out where it's going geometry-wise. So can you just walk me through that?
Yeah, there's 2 ways there's 2 kind of ways to get into that ramp. One is there's a shot that it's like an orbit shot and it just swings round and down.
Okay.
Right, and it just drops out of the back. And then the other, it swings round and round and comes straight out the front. And I think I'm trying to remember.
Is that dictated by diverters or?
Yeah, and no, I think it's dictated by the way the ball entry goes, and I think it's gravity and that's actually driving it down different routes. I'm pretty sure.
So how many shots are there on that game? Then would you
there's
say?
Loads. So there's about. This is the thing. This what's also different about it. Like on Spider-Man and Star Trek, actually less Spider-Man, but less so Star Trek. There's a couple of shots on this side into the side. They're like I would kind of like around the drop target area of.
When you say this side, just for the people listening, is that left side?
This side, the left side, right?
Yeah.
There's a bunch of shots there now in Star Trek. You know, there's a shot that's very similar to Star Trek. There, the kind of lock ball shot, right? On the premium where it pops up, and it's a very similar shot, but the geometry is different, but it feels the same. And then there's another shot. Just kind of below, I'm trying to remember, below and up it, but and then on this side you've got a bunch of shots, but you've also got this thing, the Rocket Man, which is not easy to see on the photos because it sits underneath the plunge ramp. It's a bit like in some ways, it's a bit like the diverter in Deadpool, but much further down the playfield. And that the ball hits, it's the rocket man. The ball hits the rocket and it fires it, and that's where it goes around this loop, right? And that's one of the big challenges of the game is to fuel up the rocket, right? And it works. The code bit of it. I mean, I didn't finish that. You know, like I say, Steve can put out tons of great playfields, but the code in JGP was what I was worried about, and they've got a different.
So go on, walk me through it. Was it Death by Mighty Ball, or have they actually dropped that down?
No. There's I think I got to 3 different multi-balls, but they weren't.
Okay.
It wasn't like, oh, I pressed a button and I'm in multi-ball.
Yeah, it's what it feels like in Guns N' Roses.
Everything in Elton John you have to work for. There's no gimmies, right? And personally, I love that, right? I like challenge. I like the fact that I have to go do stuff. What I couldn't figure out is if the records gave you different perks, and I didn't really have to a lot because you got people standing behind in the queue. You can't really like
pressure, I suppose, to kind of like enjoy the game, capture what you can, sort of thing. Yeah,
exactly. So that
but go on then, give me a view on it. You say this is the best game they've ever had.
Yeah,
this is the ultimate test for me.
Yeah,
to whether or not you like it. Would you have it in your lineup?
Absolutely. The only thing is I wouldn't buy a game from JGP.
I know you've said you've been stung by them, but it's positive to hear that if you've got it in the second-hand market,
I would have been on the phone to Phil saying, put me down for a platinum, no question about it. It is, if you like Spider-Man, if you like Star Trek, if you like Steve Ritchie, and even if you're not a massive Elton John fan, the music's pretty listenable. It's not like it's freaking Rush where you're ready to commit suicide.
They mentioned, I think I heard is it Jack, the owner of it, isn't it?
Jack,
they got Jersey
Jack.
So when he was doing his conference with the audience at Pinfest, the expo, sorry, he did say something along the lines of, I think they said there was 1,500 or something, maybe even more LEDs underneath that playfield. Did you feel like you were being dazzled, or did it actually look good?
No, it looked great. And this is the thing, in previous Jersey Jack games, it feels like you're in some sort of rainbow land, right?
Right.
Where even Godfather, I just couldn't believe this. Godfather, you kill someone and it goes rainbow. I'm like, what?
Maybe it's playing Fortnite.
Yeah, honestly, I was like, this is just bizarre. It just didn't work at all on Godfather. Which is a shame. They could have gone like red, black, white, and kind of made it a bit.
They still could though, right? I mean, it's just coding.
They could. They won't because they know better. But
right.
I mean, I suggested that to Eric and to Kiefer, who's the coder.
Sure.
And they're like, well, whatever, okay. And look, the other thing is there's no little screen in the game at all. It's only the big one at the back.
That's interesting because it's not like uncommon for them to do that in their games.
Yeah, I don't think there's a game other than this one that doesn't have that. Maybe Wizard of Oz, I can't remember. But the action is it's a very ball and flippers game. You've got to earn things. There's a lot of modes, and clearly the code's not finished because a mate of mine, Rob Byers from Top Rope Pinball on Twitch, really good guy from Texas. He actually got to the. He's a really good player, like top 50, I think. He actually got to the Wizard mode, but and the game crashed because they haven't coded it yet, which is I think it's fine. Although they should have figured out.
A la Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, they should have figured out not to make it crash. They should have just reset it back to.
That's what Pirates does, really, doesn't it? Yeah, it doesn't really know what to do with itself when you get past that point.
I've heard that, but look, the game. Honestly, I was excited and annoyed because I want to buy it, but my kind of right brain is a company that treats customers like shit. I just can't deal with them.
I think, given as you say, the issue we've had with the playfields,
and it is still a Mirko playfield, by the way.
Oh yeah, but to be fair, I've said this before with the Mirko stuff. I honestly think it isn't really down to his playfield per se. It's their knowledge and understanding of how to position a post. So I'll give you an example. In Guns N' Roses, where I had the same problem, it was chipping and pulling, and it was lifting up. What they were doing was they didn't provide cutouts around the posts. So you were literally they were torquing in these posts at full pelt, not hand tightening, but they're torquing them in.
Yeah.
I've seen them do it on the production line. They're applying a huge amount of pressure to that clear, and it's going directly on the artwork. It will 100% lift. I mean, like in your game. So when I've been building your Fear of Magic, which again is a Mirko playfield, as long as there's obviously in the older playfields anyway, they provide cutouts, but even then, you still got the layer of clear. And what you don't want to do is dig into that clear because you can crack it. You just got to hand tight it. It's got to be delicately done. And I feel like that's maybe, I think personally, it's probably down to implementation rather than the playfield itself.
I'm going to say it's kind of 50-50.
Maybe.
I've seen so many Mirko playfield issues.
Oh, don't get me wrong. There have been them. 100%. Yeah.
Well, the other game, there was I think one of the.
But Alien, again, further to my point on that, they listened to me because I did bring this up to them. I still have the prototype sat behind me somewhere here. Where the middle post is, there's artwork. And then I asked them, I said, look, don't do that. Anywhere you've got a post, put a cutout. If you look now, even on where that middle flipper is in the sort of center right, there's a cutout now in the new playfield. So they listened.
But I think in the past, though, right? If you look at older games, they never used to do the cutouts. They were quite, and this is partly because they've gone from a clear that was kind of petroleum based.
Oh, 100%, because the production methods changed. Right? Yes,
and that's part of the contribution to this. But look, if Mirko and JGP have figured this out, awesome, great for people, right?
I fingers crossed, right? I mean, I haven't heard anything about Godfather, but then again, or Toy Story, but I don't think the numbers are there to give a decent sized response on that.
Exactly. And
Elton John will be a good test, I think, as you say, because I think it will sell.
I had a good look at the Toy Story that was in Interium, which is an arcade just across the road from where Expo was.
Okay, yeah.
And it actually looked in pretty decent shape. Actually, the reason that I went over there because they've actually got Guns N' Roses with these new flippers on it, and holy moly, what a difference! I hope they release a kit, because if you've got a JGP game, I mean, if they did a dialed-in kit, I would definitely buy it.
So you're saying, is this a bit like Precision Flippers? Have they done a new kit to address the sloppiness?
Well, they've put it on this Guns N' Roses, and my assumption is why would you do that? Because you're not making any more games.
Sure.
So why do that if they're not going to come out with a kit? And I think, look, it's something they can sell for a couple of $100
easily. Yeah, people will do it,
and I think people will buy it. I think it will sell like hotcakes. So I hope they do that. I don't know for sure if they are, but it would be good for them to kind of how to put this JGP flippers or spongy thing to bed, because actually, excuse me, sorry. Actually, one of the things that came up with Labyrinth was there's some questions about the flippers, which we'll talk about.
So let's move on to Labyrinth then, since you've brought it up. So I heard that as well. So let's start with the flippers then, and then we can move on to the theme and everything like that.
I'm probably more of a competitive player than just a random player. Right? I like to play games in the competitive scene, right? And we just ran the UK Open, went really well. We had 175 players. Ray Day, one of the former world number one, multiple world championship winner, he won it. No Brits won anything this year, unfortunately. We got a couple of close, but I want to, when you play in a game, you want it to behave in a certain way. And with JGP, it kind of feels a bit limp when you're playing it. You don't get the satisfaction, the connect is, as Elwin would say,
the snappiness, I would call it.
It just feels spongy. So I played Labyrinth twice on the Thursday.
Okay.
And I have to say, I was like, this game's never going to sell. If that's the flippers, it's never going to sell. And then I heard from a friend that they turned the power down on the flippers to keep the games going, which if true, I genuinely don't know if it's true, but where the source it came from, I would believe, right? If he's a good guy.
To be fair, I mean, like, if you're running a game at a convention, it's going to suffer from flipper fade. So maybe they did do that.
Yeah, but I think that's fine. But I still think even if you turn the power down, you're still going to get the fade as well, right?
It will just build up. It will take longer to get there, but it will get there.
But on a day where it's the line's rammed, You know, you're going to get it. So in my mind, turn the power up, right? And
Sure.
so
Maybe they should start thinking about putting active calling in on just showroom
on
machines.
showroom stuff, yeah, that's what I would do, right? But anyway, look, I was, you know, the game. Look, the theme is a shocker for me. I honestly can't imagine a worse theme than Labyrinth. I think the game is a
You're
total.
not a Jim Henderson fan, is that what you're trying to tell me?
I love the Muppets, right? If they did a Muppet pin, I'd buy 10 of them, right?
What about Dark Crystal?
Dark Crystal, maybe.
See that this is what I mean, though. See, you're going into the mentality or the mantra of the why they've chosen it. I think the Muppets. What would they do? Christmas Carol or the Muppet Show? I suppose they could do either of those two. Maybe the Muppet Show, but I don't know if that would be quite a good theme integration. The Muppet Show.
Well, the Muppet Show, you could be like, you have to collect the characters for the show, like the band. You know,
maybe
you have Animal. You know, Animal's like the coolest guy on the planet, right? Dr. Beef. You know, I would kill for a Muppets game. I don't think we'll ever see it, but it would be awesome. And you know, they could get, you know, if they were smart enough, they could get a few random guests, either from the pinball community or celebrities or whatever. That you know they'd have a guest on each episode. You know, I think there's loads of stuff you could do in Muppets. Labyrinth, look, you're trying to the way it's working is you're the girl in the story, and you're effectively playing the game through the story, right? And and I just never think that works that well, because in Labyrinth, in any movie, the story is kind of linear. You sit in your ass, you watch it for an hour and a half, and it's finished. Whereas with pinball, you're kind of you're replaying certain pieces of it, you know. And I just don't think, especially real live action movies, you know, with actors in it, I think it's quite difficult to make them into a game. Hence why I'm a bit skeptical about Harry Potter. I think that's going to be very challenging, and that's why.
Suppose. I mean, like, you could have taken the Godfather approach and do like a board game style.
Yeah, exactly. Method, or Avengers, or you know, Godzilla.
Collect the stones. You can do that in any order.
You can kind of do stuff differently. Whilst Jurassic Park, where they effectively rewrote all the kind of, you know, they kind of rewrote the story around the escaping from the island. It's Jurassic Park, but it's not the movie, right?
Yeah.
So look, anyway, and look, there's some really little cool touches. A bunch of little kind of interactive toys.
I think the sculpts look great, and the head. I was going to ask you about this, right? So obviously you've got those weird headless, like, goblin things. I forget what they're called. The fire demon like types. That one comes out of the apron, one comes out the top right.
Yeah.
Was that mech smooth? Did you hear it grind or anything like that?
No, it was very smooth, but I honestly thought it was a bit of a laugh. I mean, it feels. I
genuinely thought that was a nice bit of ingenuity that they built into it there, because I thought, normally you have something pop up and down and you can hear it.
Yeah, they're using a radio control servo.
Okay.
And actually, just to qualify that, though, right? The Pinball Expo room was really noisy, so you know.
Oh, maybe you couldn't hear it even if it was.
The game was challenging, right?
The one thing I had criticism-wise on it, for me at least, was the slow. We were talking about beats per music, BPM, sorry, beats per minute, like music for a choice of a pin. And you said, they've chosen high tempo for Elton John's list of music that you could hear at least.
Yeah.
I was a little bit surprised that Labyrinth was very, like, it's obviously of the film. It's taken that music element, but it's very slow paced. It's very ethereal. It's like, la la la, we're in the Wonderland. Yep. I don't feel like that was maybe the right choice for the music at the start when you're launching it. Maybe it was actually before you launch the ball, absolutely fine. As soon as you launch the ball, use the electric guitar score that they've got in the movie. Use something else. Take some of Bon Jovi's music and just something more upbeat.
Bowie's music.
Sorry, sorry.
That actually might be good if they.
Maybe it would be better. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Bon Jovi is in. You know, he was a secret wizard in the movie. No, look, look. There's one bit. I mean, I was playing it, and let me just finish on the flippers, because I think it's important.
Yeah.
So look, I felt they're a bit spongy. I posted on Pinset. Actually, David reached out to me and said, "Hey, Neil, you know, come back and play." Okay, so I went back and played. Had a really good chat with David. He's a lovely bloke, even though he's Australian. You know,
nothing wrong with Australian.
It was. It was. There's a couple of Australians listening to this. I'm just winding them up. He wanted to really get the feedback. He wanted to learn. He was writing away in his book, and so I played it again. The flippers were definitely snappier, but there was one thing I realized. I only because the line for Labyrinth was long, and I don't queue at the best of times. I think I played it 4, maybe 5 times. But the one thing that is definitely wrong with it, they've put these clear flipper buttons on that are not Bally-William flipper buttons, and they definitely press differently. And now I don't think that was the original.
Is it a lack of resistance when you press them?
Yeah, if they're much springier. That isn't the issue that I had.
Okay.
When I played it, there was definitely some other issue, and I heard that they had the game open, they were fiddling with it. But whatever it was, they solved it. And for that game, and you saw it in the Bone tutorial. I don't know if you watched the Bone video of it. It was on YouTube about a week ago. You know, the game's got flow. There's no question about it. I'll be honest with you, it feels to me super Foo Fighter like. Just some of the shots, and that, you know, that's a good thing. It doesn't have quite the crossover shots that Foo Fighters
Are
got,
they quite hard shots to make then?
A couple of them are pretty tough, yeah. Most of them are okay though. I think after a few games, you'll find.
I'll be honest with you. I was surprised at the lack of how can I put it, content around people's impressions on the game on the net afterwards. I expected to see people putting up reviews and saying first impressions. This is what I think of it. There's quite a lack of content around it at the moment.
I think that's partly because. I mean, I'm always reluctant to say something about a game unless I've played it like 100 times because, you know, look, my goal in an event like that is, you know, is there any reason why I definitely don't want to buy this, right? Actually, Labyrinth. There's a definite reason I don't want to buy it. The themes.
I was going to say, we go back to that same question. Would you have it in your lineup?
Yeah, no, because the theme's a shocker for me. I just can't. It's hard. It's rare.
See, I'm different. I like Jim Henderson stuff, and I feel like the topper, which we will talk about toppers later, but for me, that's how you do a topper. That looked good.
The topper is awesome. It's really well done. But the thing about the theme actually is it's less about the theme. It's the music that's killed it for me.
Well, that's why I'm wondering if I can do something with the music. If I was to buy the game, because I am on the fence on it. Like I've already approached the UK dealer on it, and he's like going, I can give you, you know, I can get you what I can get with the topper. You let me know, and I'm like, it's tough because my wife, she wants it. She was a little bit on the fence after seeing the gameplay, and then more on the fence when I spoke to you and you said I don't like it, and I was like, I'm worried about buying a game that's quite a significant investment that might end up being a clunker.
Yeah, look, it's not so it's definitely not a clunker. It plays and shoots nice, but you know, I have come to learn, and it's taken me a few years to learn this actually. And that's why I don't like to give an opinion on a game after 8 or 9 plays. It's not enough, right? Other than
I'm the opposite. If the game hasn't caught me by 8 or 9th play, it's probably not getting played again.
I'll give an example. Good old Walking Dead there, right? I played it 8 times and thought I'm never playing that shit ever again. Right? Hold on. I need to turn that off.
You're in your track modes.
You know, Walking Dead, I played it about 8 times, so I'm never playing that crap again. I thought it was terrible. Now it's my favorite game, right? You've got to give, you know, it's like a good whiskey. You've got to give it time. You got to give it a bit of time to get used to it. And, you know, it's like dialed in. When I first played that again, I'm never having that game. But now I've got one.
It's always been perceived as like one of JJP's best, isn't it, dialed in? Just the worst theme, but one of the best gameplays.
Yeah, until Elton John came along, that was definitely true. But let me just, so the flippers are great. The game shoots really well. But the thing that has come to my mind that I can't get over in pinball machines is music. Right, I can put up with any sort of crap on the art or any sort of brilliance, comics, real people, photoshops, whatever. Doesn't bother me, right?
Sure.
The stuff on the video screen doesn't bother me. The color of the rubber
barely
band,
looking at it anyway most of the time.
It doesn't bother me. The music bothers me, right? So Rush
for me, I'm very much the same thing. Like, theme integration's important. It's got to look good for me. I am not, how can I put it, vain in that respect. If the playfield artwork looks like some sort of Photoshop drop, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
For me, call outs, sound, and music play very heavily into my choice
I
of a
couldn't agree
game.
more.
And I feel like if they aren't there, if elements are missing, like they've got awkward call outs or lack of call outs. I mean, I could go back. We'll talk about maybe a rumor later around Back to the Future. But if for instance certain people weren't calling out elements of that game, it's a bit like Rick and Morty, right? I know you're not a massive fan of it, but Justin Roiland did a huge amount of work
Yeah,
with the voice
absolutely.
acting on that, and it makes me laugh. Even today, I was playing it, and he said something I hadn't heard before, and I was like, that just made me laugh.
It is Rick and Morty is one of the best team integrations, no question about it. But
Yeah.
look, I think take Rush, right? It's an amazing game. I own a premium.
Ball locked.
I can't play the game because of the call outs and the music.
It's funny how singers can't act. It's weird, right? Because they perform, but they can't perform when it comes to saying a line.
It is.
So where's the range?
Absolute killer, right? Iron Maiden. Oh my God, that music was ready. I was ready to commit suicide after it's an amazing game. And luckily for me,
what's the name of that guy in Stranger Things? Where he does the call outs, the sheriff. What's the name of the actor?
I can't remember. See, he's all right though.
Me and my wife, I don't know if I said this to you before, but when he says extra ball, we say it all the time. Extra ball. It's just the way he says it.
That's taking the piss out of good old AFM. It was a kind of nod to that a little bit.
It's just funny. I mean, there's another one with what the guy who plays Dr. the Bones from in Star Trek, and his call outs are terrible.
Yeah, that's terrible. Some
of them are cheesy.
Yeah, was it "Don't Shake"? Or it was like I can't remember, but I mean, it's kind of funny, but it's not. It's also
some of them can be taken like, oh, this is funny, this is cheese, but other parts you're just like, your delivery was off.
Yeah, the sound mix on
retake.
The sound mix on Star Trek's rubbish as well. You can barely hear half of it. But I mean, that's why I put disco music on Iron Maiden. But
so back on the game then. So you feel like music wasn't the right choice there.
The music, like I remember I'm in a multi-ball and then I hear this. It's fucking what's his face singing, and I'm thinking, my God, that sounds terrible. And look,
was it that the speakers were poor quality?
The speakers were too good because I could hear it.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to hear that rubbish. That soundtrack is Bowie's worst shit that he put out. It's terrible.
Wait. Stop. You don't like Dance Magic Dance?
No, it's terrible.
I love that song. I'm sorry. I'm putting it out there now. It's one of his best songs. No. I love that. It's good. That's a catchy song. I'm sorry. I like that song.
It's probably borderline, right? But it's not.
All right. I'll give you it. It isn't like okay. I say it's not one of his best. It's awkward, but it's certainly not one of his worst.
Or is there life on Mars? Or it just doesn't. It just doesn't even scrape the sides, mate. It's and he's got that. It's such. The thing is what's annoying.
Is that what's missing from this game for you? Ignoring the theme, right? So let's take some of these elements aside, so I can get to the crux of why you don't like it. Music, get it. Not a big fan. And it hasn't got the kind of high BPM adrenaline music that we'd expect to see in a pin. Understood. Shots, kind of narrow, but seem okay. Actually, Foo Fighters kind of level of good. So that's all right. What about code? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think when I saw the Bowen thing, I was thinking, see, this is the disadvantage. You stick two big screens in a game, and then you've got to fill them up. Now, since the Bowen thing, I think they must have recorded that a few weeks ago, because since that and since the one that was in the show, there's a lot more going on the screen. The back screen, still not a lot, and I know that they're going to work on that.
Okay.
I think the back screen is going to be kind of more like a status screen. It's not. I think it's going to be playing.
I thought they were going to use it as a way to build the world, like add backgrounds to whatever mode you were in.
It's not going to be playing videos of little guys running around. Or at least that was my take. I might be wrong on that, but what's weird is the way they've designed it. It looks like a Stern. I mean, it's just so Stern-like with the speakers and it almost looks like they went into the Stern factory and lifted a few parts. Which for me,
who's making the game?
They're making it themselves.
So they built their own factory and tooling and everything like that.
In Texas, I think.
Wow.
And look, I got huge appreciation for the Barrels of Fun's guys, because if you compare them to Deep Root, right? Deep Root, I remember like ripping the piss out of Robert at Expo 2019 or 18. I can't remember which one it was. Saying, I basically told him, "You're not going to build a single game, right?" And he was like, "Oh, I know better. I'm a Superman. I've saved the world." Blah. It was just a joke, right? I've dealt with people like him my entire life. There was no chance he was going to build a game. And then these guys, right? There's an old saying, "Do your fighting in the boxing ring," right? And these guys have done their fighting with the game. They've not hyped it. They didn't talk about it. The first anyone
marketing
knew about
was really good,
was,
actually.
Yeah,
the way they
launched
kept doing the mystery
and it's
around
ready,
it.
and you can order it, and they've got games to ship. There's a couple of games going on location in the Pennsylvania
That's
area.
the true acid test.
When the one thing I would say though is I think, look, I think they maybe went a bit early to get in time for Expo.
But I think that was a smart decision.
Yeah, I think so
given
too.
the fact that they're trying to get ahead of Stern's next release. Because you only have to look at like what Stern's doing, right? When they, I think the same thing that happened at exactly. Right? We all know it's coming. Whether or not the assets fit all together was another question, but we'll see. But for me, it's like, the same thing that happened at the beginning of the year, Pulp Fiction. I think they came in, got there, but then they had to Foo Fighters comes in and it's fighting against Scooby and everything like that, and then everyone went, actually, do you know what? I'm not going to go with Scooby.
Yeah,
I'm going to throw my money with Foo Fighters.
In some ways, look, I get that, but like, this is the thing. I think if you're a pinball manufacturer, the only thing, look, you don't want to launch the same week Stern launch, but Stern are going to launch 3 or 4 things a year. You're going to clash with them to some extent, either in rumors.
At the moment, their releases are just re-releases, right? I mean, at the moment, we've had like obviously the Elvira Blood Kiss edition, which we can probably talk about now, I suppose. And then we've had obviously the Stranger Things rerun, and I think the next thing on the line after that is another James Bond run, and I think it's like another Stranger Things Pro, and maybe Guardians of the Galaxy I heard is coming up. It's like
I'm reliably informed they're not making any more Guardians. So, could be. I'm pretty sure that has definitely entered the vault. Was my information, but look, because I was asking about toppers.
Well, let's talk about the Blood Red edition. Yeah. What's your thoughts?
I was blown away by it. I'll be honest with you. I expected to see it and think Munster's black and white turd.
Sure.
They've nailed it. It looks so good in the flesh. And if I didn't already have Elvira there,
but what's your thoughts on that being an LE owner, though? How does that make you feel as an owner?
I am not an LE owner, so
you're not? Okay.
No, my Elvira is a premium with armor and LE bits on it.
Okay.
I mean, this was actually, I'm still a bit narked at Phil. Sorry, Phil, but he. So here's a quick story that, right, I wanted to buy Elvira. Tony and I played the game Expo 2017, whenever it came out, or 18, I can't remember. We both played it. We both thought this game is epic, right? We played it for like hours. And I wanted to buy one, but buying a pinball machine where there's a woman with big on it is somewhat challenging thing to get past the wife, right?
Yeah.
But then Mandy and I went to the Elvira seminar where Cassandra, who plays Elvira, was there. And Cassandra was phenomenal.
She's great, yeah.
Yeah, she was amazing, and she really impressed Mandy. And we came out, and she's like, "When are we getting the Elvira game?" And I'm like, "Are you joking me?" Because by then, Phil had sold all the LEs; they're all gone.
Right.
So I got a premium, and Mandy loves it. It's an easier game, and she appreciates the humor, and she likes Scared Stiff as well.
Scared Stiff's my preference out of the 3, if I'm honest. Yeah. Depends on whether or not you include all these other variations of the Stern release as different versions, but. If you compare House of Horrors, Party Monsters, and Scared Stiff's top for me.
Yeah, I like scared stuff. Actually, I used to not like it, but I've grown to appreciate it. Again, it's one of, like, for years I hated it, but I got it in a couple of tournaments and played really well in it. I thought, actually, I quite like this. It's better than I thought. But
Yeah.
no, I think the key, and then actually the other thing, and no one's seen this yet because it's not out. They are releasing a big code update for it, so it will be interesting to see.
I heard they've added like additional funny call outs for the gargoyles and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. But I mean, let's go back to like the whole. We don't need to discuss the game in detail, but would you have it in your lineup?
Elvira,
The new Red Kiss
yeah,
edition.
100%. 100%. But look, I've got a premium. I put the armor on it. Basically, Phil thought he'd sold all the LEs, and then he got another one, and I was like, by that time I'd already put the
sourced the
armor on it.
premium.
I thought, to hell with it. It's not worth the aggravation of changing it.
So I suppose later on, what you could do is look at trying to get one. I suppose if the opportunity arose.
If someone, look, with pricing in the world economy, I might, who knows what stuff might come up cheap. I tell you the other game that I mean, I just briefly mentioned it. It wasn't, it was released this time last year, but holy shit, Bond has got so good.
Yeah, you said last podcast
and
it was good.
So much more to come. So Mike Vinegar, actually, if you want to watch the seminars, which I highly recommend everyone does, especially for the games they're interested in or the companies they're interested in, they're on Martin Abe's Pinball News YouTube channel. And they did a fantastic Bond. Mike Vinegar and Lonnie did a really great Bond thing that I went to. And they were talking about stuff. There's so much more to come in this game. And also I learned a few things about some of the modes, and it's such a great game now. And even at the tournament, everyone was kind of raving about, how cool it's got. And, it's still kind of one or two little issues, but it's got a lot more.
It's basically become a more finished product now.
But if you have not played this game since,
I haven't yet, to be honest. Well, actually, I lie. I've played it at Funland in London, which is basically like
play somewhere where it'll be good. Actually,
sometimes I do find they don't really do much leveling.
I mean, this is the thing. It's so good. I bought a premium for the club. So Pinball Republic has got a premium, and it probably needs a bit of setting up because I haven't been there since the UK. I literally with the UK Open flew out to New York the next day. So I've been home for the first time I've been home in like almost a month. So I mean, look, and then so Elvira, they did it. They've actually, the other thing they've got, and I was told that this is going to come out as an accessory. So they've got this dagger plunger.
I saw that. Yeah.
I'm told that is going to be available separately, which is great news for my
better than the clown one, because I had the clown one.
Yeah, the clown one's terrible, man. I don't know what they were thinking about that, but the dagger looks great. The artwork and they've made the playfield kind of glittery. It really is cool.
So they've put some extra effort. I think the only issue, as I said, I've said it before, I don't really like it when they keep making multiple releases of the same game in different variations.
I mean, and actually, Seth and Gary, I did kind of vent my, my frustration around. Look, Bond was supposed to have a, limited edition topper and all these other things, limited edition. Now you sell them to any Joe that turns up.
Yeah.
I moaned about Jurassic Park 30. If not, I don't care about it that much. But I said, look, if you guys just keep devaluing this,
that's the fear I get as a collector. It's like, I know everyone always says that don't treat these products like an asset, but I also don't want my vendors
to lose tons of money on it, basically.
Yeah, to plummet the value of my game just so they can release another version.
If I sell my Jurassic Park, $9,000 for the LE I've got, just I'm making the numbers up, and then $10,000 for a 30th. People are probably going to go for the 30th, although I think the art's terrible on the 30th. But actually, the art's terrible on both of them to some extent.
Okay, well let's move on. Ninja by Turner Pinball. Then he's laughing, but I am interested. Go on, lay it on me. What did you think?
So the game, I mean, let me deal with the kind of burning part of it. The cabinet's a total shit show. I don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah, so I saw it at the show. It looks like it's like half the depth of a normal cabinet, I don't want to say a shoebox because that's a bit cruel, but it does look like a virtual pin, like a smaller version of a full size cab. Is its dimensions the same? or is it just?
So the playfield is a standard size playfield, right?
Okay, that's what I mean.
But they got this thing where the thing moves, and I mean, the one thing, right? And this guy was part of Deeproot, so you should know better. There it goes. It's just
Right.
rooted. This guy is part of Deeproot. He was involved in Deeproot, and he grabbed some of the assets, I think, in the auction on the way out. I don't know the full details of it, but the cabinet, when you put your hands where the flippers are, right, and they had two modes set up for the game. One where the lower flipper and upper flipper move one button, or one you two button. The two button was a disaster. I was playing that. I walked away before the end of ball 2 because it was unplayable from my point of view.
Oh wow, okay, that's pretty damning.
The other one where the upper flipper was wired to the same button. Actually, the game doesn't shoot terribly, right? It's wide open, so you've got a lot of flow. It's got a nice kind of Star Trek ramp shot on the from the kind of upper flipper to. It's not quite the same, but it's close to it.
What do you think about the assets, like the artist work and that?
It's got all this ninja stuff on it. It does zero for me. Absolutely nothing.
But was it drawn well? Did you think it looked like?
It feels like it's been put on cheap. The whole experience felt cheap. It felt like, hey, we're going to make a cheap pinball machine, and they
What's their market price then for that?
No, this is the point. They've made what looks like a cheap pinball machine, but they're charging 10 grand for it, and I'm like, what?
No.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say it like that, but that's a lot for something that looks that.
They're dead in the water. I mean,
Yeah.
there was, if you wanted to play the game, you walked up and you started playing it. There was no queues, there was no lines.
Yeah, it's surprising. Yeah.
And I just thought, I didn't finish this, but where they've got this kind of weird border around the cabinet because the way they've got the glass in it. But right. it makes it really hard to put your hand on the game and play and use the flippers. It feels like you're trying to grab onto something that isn't designed to be grabbed
like
onto.
Square sort of thing.
Yeah, and the last game that had this was a Deeproot game. The Raza prototype had the same issue, right? And I'm thinking, what are they thinking? They're just not, and this annoys me because they're thinking through the lens of, wouldn't it be cool to build a pinball machine, right? Yeah. And if you're a homebrew guy, that's the way you think about it, right? If you're a pinball manufacturer, here's your thing you should be thinking about. How do I get a player to stick a quarter in my game, right?
Yeah.
And you definitely
how do I turn a profit?
You definitely don't do it by making it uncomfortable to play. You just don't, right? And they've done that. And I'm like, these guys are loons. Anyway, look, these guys are allegedly trying to, and there's no coin door on it unless you buy a special version, which is even more expensive, which made me laugh. I was like, really? Because they're not aiming it at it's not aimed for the
coin door.
operator community.
But again, okay. This is interesting you bring this up because I know that when Dutch Pinball, not Dutch, when the Barrels of Fun guys were talking to somebody on YouTube, I forget, I think it was Johnny Pinball.
Yeah.
And he said to him, I can't afford $10,000 for a new game. And I said, you just put it on location, you make your money back. That, okay, is a little bit naive, I think, for people saying it in this day and age. Yeah, I don't think you can make money back on 10 grand personally like that. That's a lot of quarters to be making that back.
Top location.
Yeah, exactly.
Which doesn't exist here in the UK, I'm afraid.
100% it doesn't exist in this country. But yeah, the that statement then doesn't ring true for Turner Pinball because they haven't given an operator's option for it. So then asking that money is crazy.
They're not trying to sell to operators. They're like trying to, their thing is we're disrupting pinball. And I was like, no, you're not.
Not with that price.
Not with that price and not with that machine. You're not. Even if they sold the machine for half the price,
yeah,
it wouldn't deter me from buying a Stern Pro instead. It just didn't. When this is the thing, when people try and build cheap pinball, even Stern, right? When they try and build, with the Jurassic Park stuff, and actually Jurassic Park's a great game. It plays okay, but it still doesn't feel like you're playing a proper pinball machine. Sorry, it doesn't.
Okay.
It's good, but it's not quite a cigar, right? And this was definitely true for the Ninja Pinball stuff. And I just kind of think, I look out in the market and at 10 grand, who's buying? I could buy this for 10 grand, or I could buy Labyrinth, or I could buy a Pulp Fiction for 9, or
Yeah,
Stern Pro for 8. I'm thinking no one's buying this game. I just don't know what they were thinking. So,
okay. All right.
yeah,
So then, obviously, easy answer. Then it's not going in the lineup. Then
hell no. It's not even. It's not even. I mean, I'll probably never. I suspect we'll never see one this side in the UK. In fact, I'm not even sure we'll see them in the US in any sort of volume. Would be my take, but who knows? The other thing I want to talk about, and I didn't put it on the notes actually, American Pinball.
Yes.
So David,
what we revisiting Galactic Tank Force, or
yeah. So let me. I just want to cover this very quickly, and I maybe we'll do a bit more depth in another podcast. But David Fix kindly invited us Brits to the factory. And I was thinking, factory, it's going to be like the size of this room, and there'll be 3 people and a dog at it.
Right.
That was my take, right?
That was your impression of what
And
it would be.
Okay. It's times like this where I could kiss myself for being wrong, right? We went, and let me tell you, American Pinball is a serious operation.
I've seen the pictures. They have a lot of like Houdinis back on the line.
Yeah.
Are they putting Houdini back out again? Is that a rerun?
Yeah, they're doing new Houdinis. Actually, interestingly, they're doing new Houdinis with an upgrade in them.
Interesting.
So they've changed, to make the game a little bit easier, they've changed this kind of middle lock shot so you can hit it from 2 directions. So really good change. I approve. Okay. I'm not a big Houdini fan. It's not. It's too booky a game for me. I like flow. It's not, but and it's still got a bit of stop start in it. But yeah, they're
banking a bit big though on that, aren't they? Because I don't think people were going, hey, where's Houdini? I need another run.
In the US, what I was led to believe wasn't said in so many words, but it was kind of strongly hinted. They're making 50. They've already sold them.
Okay, so it's not a huge number, but no. Yeah.
It's a sizable number. I mean, they're making probably, I'm going to guess, about 2,000 games a year tops, right?
Okay,
but they're
still pretty good though, as a boutique seller sort of thing.
Oh, absolutely. The factories are the thing that people probably don't realize on the other side of that factory is a company called Aimtron that owns American Pinball, right? Aimtron are huge. They make boards for companies like electronic boards. Actually, they used to make node boards. Spike 1 node boards back in the day, but when Stern heard they were setting up a pinball company, they stupidly didn't wanted to use someone else, which I think was madness, and shows some questionable maturity in this industry. Anyway, nonetheless,
let's move on to something a bit more positive. But the topper elements, it's like I want an alien topper. I don't even have the game anymore. It would be the 3rd time I chase after this bloody game, as much as you hate it. But I think the top is phenomenal. What did you see it there? What did you think of it?
Yeah, it was there. Look, I think I've probably got too much of a negative spin on Alien. I was like, wow, there's a topper, right? It's like 9 years after the game came out, they finally got their freaking ass out of jail for long enough to create a topper. And the guy who's the art of pinball guy, that's his name? I can't remember, but
yeah, the guy who makes the sculpts. That's correct.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's good because of him, right?
Sure.
And actually, the new sculpts that they've got in the game are very nice. I took a couple of photos of them. I'm quite impressed by that. Unfortunately, it's still Alien with its janky electronics.
Did it fall over much?
They still had a couple of moments with it.
Right.
And look, it's great that they're doing new code. It's great that they've got replay. Thank you, Disney, for making it easier for them. Is my take. I think if Disney hadn't acquired Fox, they would never have got it. So, and actually, to be fair, they don't have it yet, right? So, I think they're still waiting for final approval. But look, they're the alien area, inverted commas, that they had, they were sitting with the coin ticker guys, was buzzing. Queen, it's just dead. I mean, they should. I don't know why they're flogging that horse anymore. They should just find a skip.
It's sold very few units, hasn't it?
It's been a disaster for them. But
I think that's why they're revisiting Alien. I
Well,
think like
yeah.
they're
Why
double
wouldn't
downing.
you? Why wouldn't you if you're
Yeah,
able to? If two things have happened, one, perhaps they've got a new license with Disney that's maybe a bit cheaper. That's why they've been able to take the price out. They've got better.
sure.
I mean, look, they're the only company that's cut the price of a pinball machine in the last 2 years. So
Yeah,
they get
yeah. They're
some
the only one where the price is going down, not up. I'm not going to say
they get
much more than
some
that.
tokens for that, but I'd rather pay. If I was a punter, I'd rather pay $1,000 more and have a game that's reliable. So,
Yeah, I mean, it depends. As you say, I get what you absolutely. I'm coming from a guy who's owned the game twice. The LVNSV. I think like, if the reliability is, as you say, still problematic, that is a problem.
yeah,
I hope that
it definitely is.
yeah.
And and then the Dutch pinball guys were there. They were very tight-lipped about Back to the Future. Unsurprisingly, my take on that is that they've got some sort of Back to the Future IP. Is it the right IP or the IP that's going to turn this into a great game? I'm very uncertain. I'm also very uncertain that this could be a bit of a CGC with Pulp Fiction in that they put a game out and you have to wait 9 years to get yours.
Do you know what? That's the problem, though. Unlike Pulp Fiction, though, this is the killer license.
Yeah.
Like, this is the license everybody just keeps saying when.
Yeah.
And it used to be Stern. Everyone thought it would be a Kapow game. Now it's going to be potentially
Well, I
a Dutch pinball.
I wouldn't rule out Kapow on still doing this, right?
Okay.
Joe is a massive. I mean, I don't know if I said this, but Joe Kamenikov, a good friend of mine, really good guy. He was actually in the UK a couple of weeks ago. He was up at Aston Martin. He was getting a factory tour because he's a big Bond fan. And I was trying to meet up with him about the UK Open up. We weren't able to, but I'm in Vegas in a couple of months' time, and I'm going to hook up with him. But he invested in the Back to the Future Broadway show. He was like he got on opening night here in the UK. He got me and my wife tickets. Really good tickets, right? I didn't have to pay a penny for them. And he's an investor in that show. And he flew over like literally just before COVID or just at some point he flew over because he wanted to see it. I think it was when it was originally started. He started in Manchester, then moved to London. That show was fantastic. They really nailed it. I don't know if you've seen it. If you haven't, you should take Holly to see it because it is very good. They really nailed it. And actually, when we were there, at the end of it, out comes on stage Christopher Lloyd, which was like a wow moment. I think there was a couple of other actors, but I'm not a massive Back to the Future fan. I like it; it's good. I would love it. And actually, I'm probably more of a Huey Lewis fan than I am a Back to the Future fan. But the challenge with Back to the Future, and I think I've covered this before, is it's not, we've got the license and you've got everything. You just don't. You may get access to certain movie clips, but much like the license of Alien, that doesn't mean to say that you've got Ripley. That doesn't mean to say you've got Michael J. Fox. That doesn't mean to say you've got Christopher Lloyd, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've said this to you before, right? Christopher Lloyd, it's like we had issues before with his likeness being represented even at Adam's Family Virtual Pin, where he didn't want to have his likeness as Uncle Fester on the playfield. So it's a different Uncle Fester at the bottom of the playfield. And it's like, that would worry me that if you can only get a likeness, it's similar vein to like what happened with Alien, right? It concerned me when I first saw the Ripley edition and they've obscured Sigourney Weaver's face so that you can't.
They're not allowed to use it.
There's two different licenses there, right? Isn't it?
They've managed to get the wider set of movie clips with her in it, which in old Universal land would have been a click up. Sorry, old Foxland rather would have been a click up on the cost. I think Disney have got. I've never dealt with Disney specifically, have I? I'm just trying to think. I don't think I've dealt with Disney. I've dealt with some Disney IP that wasn't theirs, but they've acquired. I think I'm trying to remember.
Right.
I don't
And
think
what
I've
is it? A more simplistic model, basically.
I just think that because I think Disney want their IP to be good no matter who's using it. So I think, hey,
Right.
you've bought the IP to Tron. Here's all the Tron assets. Do what you like, right? Again, that still doesn't mean to say you can, use a picture of so and so on the front without that isn't part of the package. You can't just create your own artwork and say, hey, what's his face is on? I forget the actor.
Well, you can't have like Johnny Depp, for instance, from Pirates of the Caribbean doing call outs, but you could have him on the playfield, for instance.
Well, you could have Johnny Depp on the back glass as long as it's the poster that went with the movie.
Yeah, the poster. Yeah.
What you can do is have Johnny going, with a different hat, or you just can't use his likeness. Or if you do, like the guys actually, if you watch the Godfather seminar from TPF, they explained with Marlon Brando, he's really happy to use his likeness, but only in the ways he defines, right?
Okay, so he's got controls over it, right?
And there's a big long story about that in that seminar that helps explain this. So, Luke, will they be able to? Look, they'll be able to put a DeLorean on the playfield because DeLorean went bust. They can do what they like with that, right?
Right. Yeah.
But will they be able to put some of the other assets from into it, like
because that's the problem, right? It could turn into like an asset dump, so you can have the playfield where you can have the two main actors in it, but they can be literally like from the film. You can't do an artistic impression on the playfield, so it will look like Photoshop dumps on the playfield, and nobody wants that.
And that assumes that that's included with the base package of rights. I mean, the other thing on this is, the other thing they could do though is they could have a guy in a radiation suit on the back glass. So Apollo 13 is a classic example of that. Tom Hanks. So all the other actors were happy to sign up to it. Tom Hanks wouldn't. So they put Tom Hanks on the front of it by putting him in a spacesuit. Right. So the guy on the back glass, you got Tom Hanks there, and you can't see him on the game. It's like, where's Tom Hanks? He's in the spacesuit. It's a genius move, actually.
Yeah.
But they could do stuff like that. They could put a dog on there.
Obscure the face.
Dog and call it, what was it, Bernie or Ernie or whatever, I can't remember what the name of the dog is, but
Einstein, isn't it?
Einstein, that's it. They could put a car with dung in it. They could do stuff like that. They could have a big speaker with a guitar in front of it. They could do all these things around it, but they are close to Back to the Future, but not quite Back to the Future, right? So
again, if they don't get the music either.
The music, yeah, I mean, I think they'll get the music because Huey Lewis typically not a big. I mean, I'm pretty sure they own the rights to Power of Love. Although they won't get. That's
the more, see, that one's more key though.
Yeah, that one. I think by default that wouldn't be included. They'd have to license that separately.
This is what makes it really difficult to kind of accept if they do make it. It goes back to that. I think you said this from a few podcasts before, but if you've got to make something, make it right.
100%. Absolutely.
It's got to be made right. If it's missing elements, I think it was when we were talking about Jaws. That was it. If you're going to make something, make it right.
Yeah,
it's got to be made right.
Yeah, I mean, and look, Jurassic Park's a classic example, right? Where I think if the game wasn't good, Stern would have been gunned down for that because there's no assets from the film at all except Nedry, right? And which he gave, I think he gave it to them for free. He didn't really care. Which is good of him.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Everyone's hacked the game and is running code that has the assets in it. It's ridiculous, right? So I don't think, unless you've got a really strong pinball game, which in Jurassic Park they absolutely did. I think it's brave to go out. And I think right now, so they'll have to talk to Chrysalis, who own the Huey Lewis back catalogue, and I
wonder what it's like for license holders actually when they get approached by pinball companies. I think for a lot of them, is it just going to be like, pinball's still a thing?
Yeah, definitely, but it's just like another, if they want to put it on lunchboxes, but they've got like a, look, these companies have got thousands of IPs,
Yeah.
and they got one.
I was speaking to a friend earlier. It's like they were like, "Oh, they're running out of ideas, aren't they, for licenses?" I was like, "You kidding, right? There's like literally thousands of IPs you could be pulling from."
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Blues Brothers and stuff. There's more
You
IPs.
imagine Die Hard.
Yeah,
I said to my mate, I said, like, take the Godzilla building
yeah.
and have
That
him
could
like
be
shoot you off the
five.
building at the end of like in Die Hard. That's a stern, easy flip. There you go, free research for you guys. But like, it's just, do you know what I mean? There's so many easy things they could integrate and reuse mechs and keep things on the cheap. I just think they aren't going to run out of ideas anytime soon. Let's
No,
put it that way.
but look, like you say, I mean, look, Back to the Future for me, if it hasn't got Huey Lewis in it, it's dead. If it hasn't got the music in it, for me, it's dead. And
Well, it goes back to what I was saying about music. Music
yeah,
is
I'm nervous.
very, very
About
high on my agenda.
that. And actually, who's the designer? Because I don't know that Dutch Pinball have got a designer. So that would be my next big question.
I mean, like, if we go by the Big Lebowski, theme integration was on point. I'll give them that. I'm not a fan of the movie.
They didn't
But
have any of the music though.
no, well,
See,
I said theme integration, not music integration. So theme,
people,
I think.
most people who've played Big Lebowski have played the hacked version. That's got
Okay.
got all the music in it. It's got a load of other stuff in it. It's not.
Well, by
the
that argument,
game.
maybe they'll people do what you just suggested. Then they'll hack it.
Oh, for
and
sure.
they'll put the assets in where it's needed. But it's a shame that you'd have to do that in order to get the complete package.
We're getting used to having to do that. Stranger Things has got a hack. Walking Dead's got a hack. Turtles got a cartoon hack. What else? Avengers.
Turtles one's pretty good as well, actually.
Iron Maiden's got Disco Maiden. What else? Star Trek's got a hack. X-Men's got a hack. So the people. This is the thing. People who love these themes will figure out ways of getting what they want. It's a pain in the ass for Stern and a pain in the ass for licensors generally. Then you look at like Batman, or you look at Guns N' Roses, where they had access to everything, and look at the difference it makes.
Oh, well, look at Pulp Fiction, because that's when you get a license holder who is literally going, "Oh, I love pinball.
Yeah,
let's go with it." I think that's the perfect mix, right?
And look, Pulp Fiction. I mean, look.
Quentin Tarantino, I'm so glad he was on board with all of it.
Yeah, I mean, if they were launching Pulp Fiction at the show, that would edge out Elton John for me. It's a phenomenal game.
You're down for one, I take it.
Yeah, I've got an LE on order. I suspect.
See you in 2 years then.
Yeah, I mean, my prediction is kind of this time next year. Genuinely, that's when I think we'll get it. I had a real moan at them about that, but lots of people did actually. Their seminar again at Some Pinball News, Gary Flower was the moderator. Actually, he played a really great card, which was, he got that. Everyone went there to ask the question, when's it going to be out? And Gary just asked the question before they got started, which is a genius move. And they're like, talk to CGC, and CGC are starting to gear up for it. And the thing I know is when the game arrives, it'll be perfect from a construction point of view. So I'm happy away. I actually we were playing it, a bunch of the Brits. We were in Interium. We were playing it. There's one on location there. I played it in the Interium play comp, and I actually won the round on it. It's such a great game to shoot, and it's just funny when you nudge the game. And you get a warning, you get Jules going, "Hey, we got to be cool. We got to be cool," and it's just so well done. It's still a very strong IP. I think everyone who's in on it won't change. They're all, no. I don't think you're going to find lots of people dropping out of buying it. Between now and getting them, but I do wish they'd hurry up and get on with it. There's no doubt they're working flat out. In fact, actually, they've got the golden version out this week, which is the golden version is like the kind of template version where they test all the parts, make sure everything works together. They train the assembly line, and when it goes through that first assembly process, and they've got a game that's ready to ship, they press the button on ordering all the parts and ordering all the pieces at that stage, because they don't want to order 1,000 widgets that don't fit right.
Sure.
So they've got all the other games before were prototypes. They've got a proper production one now. That's a really good sign. They'll get all the parts are flowing. And I think they're probably 3 weeks behind where they wanted to be, is my take. But the game is so good; it just makes you laugh at various parts where you hear a call out that you've never heard before.
Royale with cheese.
Yeah, and it just
Say,
and the game,
does he do that part where he goes, "Say that again"? Does
yeah,
he
he
do that or
does.
anything like that?
It's got a bit where it's like, get out the gimp. Well, the gimp's asleep. Well, go wake him up. It's just, and you've got it's just freaking hilarious. This game is going to be one where you got a few mates round, you're drinking beers, and you're just playing.
My
Pulp
wife still
Fiction,
hasn't
right?
forgiven me. Because initially I was like, oh, low level game. Oh no, I ain't having that. I ain't having a game
I
with
still
like
think
one
it's
level.
not. I still think it isn't for everybody, right? But
Sure.
they have. It's this one. They've nailed it in my view, and
It
I'm
looks
really
it. I mean, I'd
really
love
looking
to
forward
try
to
it.
getting it. Yeah, I mean, just before we move on, just finish off. We kind of started and veered off. American Pinball, right? They
Oh,
are
yeah.
a proper sized company. Anyone who thinks they're going to go bust like next week or next year, forget that. They're here for good. They've got a proper facility.
I think they're one step away from being in the big leagues. They just need the right pin.
I would think, yeah. Look, they need a smash hit. They haven't had a smash hit right, and I think they're bringing.
I was hoping it was going to be Galactic Tank Force, but
yeah,
I think there was some missteps with that one.
Yeah, and I think they've learned from that. Is my take, but I think I kind of know what's coming from them.
Okay.
Again, I was told by them, so it's
no, I already know. Because most
yeah.
people should know. It's He-Man, right?
No,
It's not. I saw He-Man figures on the production line. I could have sworn it was He-Man.
So I don't. So look, they've definitely got a relationship with Mattel because of Hot Wheels, right?
Sure.
So is He-Man coming at some point in time? I would say yes, right?
But
Is
it's
it
not the next release.
I
That's
don't.
disappointing.
I don't think it's the next release, but I might be wrong.
I mean, like they didn't seem to be that bothered by it, but Napa Arcade did show a lot of the production line, and then he zoomed in, and there was like a bunch of He-Man figures on the production line.
yeah.
So I just figured, okay, it's He-Man then.
No, I mean, I think that might have been there to kind of wind people up a little bit. I think it was
Maybe a red herring. Okay.
But look, they got something coming out that I think is pretty cool. They're up. They've got a couple of other things that they're working on that I think people will appreciate. And I came away. I went in there thinking this is going to be boring as hell. I came away thinking, oh my god, these guys are huge.
Okay.
And actually, then the other, jumping on from that, the other factory tour, I went to Stern's new factory. Holy moly, man, it's huge. It is more than twice the size of the old factory. And it's a
that doesn't surprise me with the way they keep doing all these reruns. They must have a lot of floor space.
It's a proper manufacturing facility. The previous ones, were more warehouse type places. I think they've definitely invested in proper ventilation and proper. There's a few things that just feel a bit more as they should be. It's insane. They've got an office space area that's massive. I mean, I don't think they'll ever fill that space. If they do, they're going to be printing money. They'll be like selling 10,000 games a week. Sort of, they got so many desks for all the people there, and then they've got a studio that's separate, which we didn't see because it's where all the new stuff is. The actual factory floor itself. I mean, it just feels like they've stretched out the other one. There's nothing new. That's the thing I find amazing. There's almost zero automation, and I was there with Davey Price, a good friend from Stumbler, and I was chuckling. I was like, why are they making their own looms? It's just bizarre. There's companies in Taiwan or
that will do it for you a lot cheaper. Yeah,
a lot cheaper and probably better quality. I hasten to add. I find that incredible. The amount of parts and stock that they've got in this place is out of this world. And apparently they've got another stock room where they've still got tons of stuff in there. They've got like a kind of a B&Q size forklift area now that they never had before. So they're able to store a ton of stuff.
Right. Do you think that's just? Do you think that's them basically preparing for the next big release then?
No, I think this is well.
Or it's just maturing their offering?
The story I heard about Stern's factory, and this might be bullshit, so take it with a pinch of salt. Is and I know at least one part of this is true. Where Stern's old factory has become a real data center epicenter.
Right.
So if you would go to Stern's old factory, if it's still standing, I suspect it is, but it is now surrounded by, I think, 6 20-megawatt data centers. Big,
Oh wow.
Big old data centers, right? And the next usable space is where Stern's factory is.
Right.
And I think the owner of the kind of Elk Grove industrial area, my guess is that they made it easy for Stern to move.
Right.
Because selling that space to a data center company is probably more than Stern will pay in 10 years worth of rent, right?
I would imagine.
And, you know, they've got...
It's either that or Stern was being proposed with higher business rates on their renewals.
Nah, I doubt that, because they would know Stern couldn't afford it, is my take. I think...
Okay.
I think
Yeah, but I'm just thinking to shove them out so they can get the data center guys in.
Yeah, the fact that Stern have moved... Yeah, it could be, but my guess is that Stern were given a massive incentive to move.
Okay.
In fact,
maybe because they were mid-contract.
It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if they moved to the new factory and didn't pay a penny of the move. It wouldn't surprise me.
Goes back to what I was saying about pricing then with Stern. Why are they putting the prices up there?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
I would love it if we saw what they're doing with Pinball Brothers, right? I'd love for prices to go back down to pre-COVID levels.
Yeah, I think you got two hopes of that, Bob and no hope.
Yeah, I know, right?
The thing that for me is here you got Labyrinth, these guys from Labyrinth joining the market.
Yeah.
And one of the ways they could get momentum is by pricing differently.
True.
And they haven't. Right now,
no, they've priced in at the premium price, haven't they? Really,
features that pop out, those were like £3.50, mate. Honestly, they're not.
Well, the servo's probably about £5. I'll give you that.
So look, they're not. It's not. It's not. It's not. It's not like significant that it's, making a big difference between the whole thing. But look, the whole. I'm just conscious of time now. Actually, we've been running for a bit. The whole show. I mean, the Stern Factory was super impressive. There's no question about it. They have got an ability to scale that no one else has got. No one's near it. The volume of games they were making, it's probably more than all the other manufacturers put together.
Most likely.
In a week, they put it out in a day. They were building Venoms and what was the other game? They were building an older game. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Stranger Things, no?
Deadpool. They were building Deadpool and they were building Venoms, and they were building a lot of them. I mean, a shit ton of them, basically. So, look, I think Stern have got lucky on a scale transaction that I think has been very beneficial to them. Like I say, I don't know if any of that's true, but it's my guess.
Yeah, sure.
And I think
speculation.
And also, actually, the one new thing I saw in the factory was they kind of had a dedicated topper building area. So I think we'll start to see toppers come
on, Stern, do some proper sculpted units with animatronics. I know they can do it. The Black Knight one, I still think to this day is their best.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that there's an interesting topper coming for Venom. Was the vibe? I don't know if that's true. Actually, speaking of toppers, did you see the Twilight Zone topper that some company did? I forget.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I know the one you're referring to.
They've got a Godzilla topper out. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that. It was a bit quirky.
In person, it looks phenomenal.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I was trying to buy the one off them that they had there. It was a prototype. He wouldn't sell it to me.
All right.
I'm super
Because
impressed.
I've watched the video behind it. They're creating it so it's quite modular.
Yeah,
So you can
exactly.
basically buy like a base
Plastic
model.
or sculpt.
Yeah.
I have to say I was impressed by that. And look, to wrap up, what else was I impressed by on the floor? Project Pinball, big charity thing. It was
Okay.
so impressive to see so many folks donating stuff to that cause. It's a great cause. It was great to see that. Stern actually Stern weren't there at all. Marco Pinball were there, and normally Stern runs their own gig at the expo. My take is that they let Marco run it because they've got this factory move going on, and
That and the fact it wasn't a new release, really, was it? It was just more of what they had.
They've been at this expo many times without a new release, and they've ran it themselves. So my take is that they just didn't want the aggro of running, the show themselves. I hope they do it again next year because they put down this lovely carpet. It was great to visit the Stern location. Brian, what's his face was there? The art
Brian Eddy?
Yeah.
Oh, Brian Allen.
Brian Allen, loads of lovely stuff there. There's a couple of other vendors there selling lots of bits. It was cool. You could buy games. There was a lovely it was Radical that had been
I saw that.
re-energized.
That was phenomenal renovation,
nice,
to be honest.
Nice. Shame about the game. But yeah, I mean, look, it was a really good show, and I had a lot of people asking me, "Hey Neil, would you go to TPF? Would you go to this?" And my answer used to be TPF, and it kind of still is. But next year, TPF is going to be ran by a different set of people. Kim and I forget the guy's name. They're really nice people. They've kind of taken retirement.
Okay.
Different bunch of people running it. It's a week early. The tournament's ran by a different guy because Colin couldn't run it because he's the week early for him doesn't work. Actually, I'm really happy about it because it normally clashes with my daughter's birthday, so it doesn't this year. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know what will be there,
but I imagine they'll try and hold the status quo.
Yeah, but look, I don't think they're going to get 6 new releases.
No, I mean that was stellar. Let's face it. I mean, I was super envious of anybody that went for this year.
Yeah, the other thing is, the vibe from dealers was they're all feeling a bit frustrated. They got loads of them with stock. Games are not selling generically.
Well, it goes back to what we were saying about even we said the UK market is small. I think the overall pinball market is small.
Yeah.
And now there's a lot of competition in the landscape. There's only so much money to go around for these big ticket items.
100%.
I think from a Disty's point of view, again, said this before, you guys got to not love money if you're selling pinball machines, because I think the days of being able to make a truckload of cash off of any release is just gone. I think people are being way more careful with their money. Look at like any release now. I had expected everything to sell out in the old days.
Yeah. Yeah, well, one of the great things about that is the flippers who buy stuff just to sell it for $2,000 more are out of business. For me,
they're gone. Yeah, but they're like any other flipper market. They find the next big thing and they'll move into that. It doesn't mean anything to them.
But look, I pricing. I look at what the Labyrinth are pricing. I don't think pricing's coming down anytime soon.
Probably not.
And I think one second. Avengers is keen for me to play it. I don't think pricing is going to change. I definitely see the new buy market is super soft right now. Like I said, I talked to a lot of distributors. The prices, I was talking to distributors that buy and sell games as well. Used prices are plummeting in the US. I mean, they're not just going down; they're literally on a crash.
They're spiraling, are they?
And for me, I'm quite excited about that because I'll happily import games from the US. I think it'd be interesting to see what happens here in the UK. I get a sense that we're a bit more resilient about just dropping the price of stuff we want to sell. But I look on Pinball Info, and there's an awful lot of stuff for sale. I think there's a Mando there that's been going really cheap that still hasn't sold. Mando LE. I think if here's my advice to folks: if you're buying a new game and you think you're going to get your same money back when you sell it, I don't think that's
No,
the case. So
those days are gone at the moment, I
be
think.
careful. It is a buyer's market, and I'm a buyer.
He's a buyer.
Which is glorious news. Look, I think we're out of time there. We've probably ran over.
We have, yeah.
There's a lot we didn't cover. And maybe we'll pick up on that in a couple of weeks' time. But it's great to see so much stuff going on pinball. I have to say I'm nervous about, is there a big bust about to come, and it kind of feels like it to me.
I think next year will be telling for a lot of global markets, and we'll just have to see how the landscape appears in front of us, and whether or not the next release from Stern sells out. Because if that is another weak release like Venom was, and to an extent of what Foo Fighters was, I think it's going to put the pause on a lot of manufacturers that outside of Stern. They're going, if they're struggling to sell, what are we going to do?
Yeah, I mean, look, the one thing I'll say is, be cautious with your money.
Yep.
If you think you're gonna sell something, probably best to sell it right now. I wouldn't wait a couple of months, but especially January will be a bloodbath for sales. People will be skint from Christmas,
Maybe.
and Jaws will be there.
That's true. Yeah, the next buy will come in. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think Jaws will sell out, but I think it won't be. I don't think it'll be as big as Godzilla, because I just think people don't have the money. I am going to run one final thing. I have a competition for folks to enter. So,
okay.
And the way to enter this is, if you go to where this is on YouTube, you can post comments, but I have a signed flyer from Brian Eddy, Zombie Yeti, and Dwight, the guys, and I think the sound guy, God, his name just gone out of my head. He's a great guy as well. Anyway, there's a bunch of them that have signed this limited edition flyer. If you could name Brian Eddy's first game on that channel, we'll collect all the names, and we'll on the next podcast we'll randomly draw it and send you the flyer and a special show only Venom gadget. That you'll, if you Google, you'll see them on the Pinside thread. They were handing out these things that I grabbed a couple, and we'll give one away. With that, thanks everyone for tuning in. Sorry we ran on a bit long, but there's a lot to cover. We'll be back in 2 or 3 weeks' time. Enjoy pinball, play pinball. There's a couple of events coming up. I'm going to just plug Pinball Republic, the Monster Meet in December. Please come. It's going to be a massive birthday event, and we're really looking forward to it. It's going to be super exciting. That's probably, and then we got another one at the end of just before New Year, but I'll plug that in the next episode. But yeah, December, first weekend of December, we got a big gig, 4 events over the weekend, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Anyway, I am Neil McRae.
And I'm Scott Rundle.
This was the Great British Pinball Podcast, episode 5. My God, we've done 5 of these. Actually, we've done 6, but one didn't make it. But this time it seems to have worked better. Any feedback, any subject you want us to talk about? Actually, the next podcast, we will have a guest.
We keep promising.
No, we've got one.
It will happen this time.
Absolutely. Actually, I need to schedule it with you for when he's here. He's actually going to be here in person.
Okay, great.
Maybe you should come down for that one. We'll do it.
Yeah,
We'll do
Why
it
not?
together. It's going to be the weekend, so we get some curries and beers and have a chat with this guest who I think you'll all like. I've definitely confirmed it, so it should be good. Anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in. We really appreciate it. I mean, it's amazing. I had a bunch of folks in the US saying, "Oh, we love your podcast." And I was like, "Wow." Normally it's someone like, "Neil, you're rubbish on Twitch." And it was really good to get so much feedback about the podcast. And we love doing it. It's a lot of fun. And we will see you next time. Thanks from me, and thanks from Scott.
Thanks, guys. Bye.